Awesome. Thanks so much for having me. And everyone, thank you so much for joining today. I guarantee that you are going to get good takeaways, regardless if you have 5,000 reviews or 0 reviews, because we're talking about how to turn reviews into sales. So before I hop into it, we have a quick poll for you. If you could just take a second, how many reviews do you have currently? While you're doing that, I'm going to give you a quick overview of who I am. Phil Risher. So I actually used to be the director of business development at a $3 million home service business. And in the first year, they went to 4 million and then 5 million and then sold to private equity. Actually, we still work with that private equity company to this day with that company. When I first started there, this was about like 6 or 7 years ago, they had 36 reviews. And in the first year, they went to 1,000 reviews. Now they have over 5,000 reviews. And I'm going to be talking about the strategies that we did to get those reviews, but then also how to flip them into sales. All right, so let's just take a look. So we have in this poll, we have 0 to 50, 39 votes, 50 to 100, 100 to 500, 500 to 1,000, 1,000 plus. All right, good. So we got a good mix here. Every single person that's here today, this is going to be very relevant in all these aspects because we're going to be talking about how to take this, turn it into sales for your business. So perfect. All right, so that's me. And now I help home service businesses. So basically, that company ended up selling, and now I help home service businesses do exactly what I did for them. So, this is not just like me making this up. They have 2 locations right now. This is currently, they have 4,646 Google reviews over here, 565 Google reviews in the other location. They have over 5,000. They started with 36 reviews. Even if you have 5,000 reviews, this webinar will be helpful because we're going to discuss turning them into sales. All right, so let's get into the agenda. So we have 7 things on the agenda today. We have why reviews matter, even 1 stars. Obviously, we all know that Google reviews matters, but I'm going to try to break down that pretty quickly, specifically the 1 stars. Then we're going to go through in 5 strategies to incentivize employees for more reviews. This is not like typical things that you would hear. These are things that we implemented, literally all 5 of these things, and they're very unique. And I have actual graphics that I'm going to show you of what we did. Then how to create a reliable review system in your business, the scripts and tools to get 5 stars. And this process right here, this can literally double your business if you run this. I think there's 6 parts to this that I broke down, and I guarantee like this can double your business. So make sure that you pay attention for that one. Building a review-driven culture and why culture matters over top of just like automations. Turn reviews into free marketing. So I'm going to actually give you scripts of how to turn reviews into free marketing for your business. And then on top of that, how to turn those reviews into sales. And I'm going to give you the real strategy. And you probably have never even heard the strategy before, so it's going to be really good. All right, so why Google reviews matter. Obviously, we know that people go and read Google reviews. Google actually tells us it's one of the top 3 factors in their support document. They have a section for prominence. And prominence, you can read it right here. It says more reviews and positive ratings can help your business local ranking. Of course, getting reviews is going to be one of the reasons that people are going to choose to work with you. Now, how many reviews should you get? This is a question that we get all the time. People say, well, how many is enough? How many should I be shooting for? Here's what we recommend. Do a search in your area for the service that you offer, and then see how many reviews your competitors have. If all things are being equal, reviews is the unique part for ranking, just like we looked at here. If their name is the same thing, if they're in the same city that you're at, name in the same thing, meaning like if you do gutter cleaning, it says gutters in their name. And then if you have more reviews than the other person, then you're going to show. So basically, how many reviews should you get? More than your competition, because that's going to help you with your rankings. The one important thing to this, people always say like, well, how many reviews do people read? Where do they read reviews at? So this is from a tool called Bright Local, which is probably one of the top local SEO companies. We actually use them for rankings, but 83% of people read Google reviews. So obviously, you should be getting Google reviews. 44% Yelp, 40% Facebook, and then 34% do YouTube research for reviews. The other really important thing is that this one right here, 89% of people expect business owners to respond to all types of reviews. Google actually says in their help doc that responding to reviews is one of the things that they want, and which is why it's very important. So here's a quick win for every single person. When we work with clients, they might have these lingering old 1-star reviews that are sitting there. If you have people, we literally just had one yesterday that came through for a client that said 1 star for a crazy driver. This person cut me off over here, 9 out of 10 times, those reviews will get removed if you just report them, because they're not an actual experience of working with your business. It's just a driving experience. So you can actually report 1-star reviews and see if Google will take it down. So we all have crazy people. We had crazy people when I was at a home service business of like random things. So always default to try to report it if it's not a real thing. If it's a real thing, try to call the person and resolve it. Most important with 1 stars is write a professional response. Google and AI cares a lot about this because people want to read, they want to read 1 stars. They want to see if things go south, what is the customer or the business going to say? And so Google wants to know that you care so much about your customer service that you're going to respond in a professional manner. And your prospects want to know this as well. So make sure that you're responding to reviews if you have 1 stars. All right. That's a quick overview of why reviews are important. What you should do with 1 stars. We can obviously answer more in the drop questions over in the Q&A. We have a section for that at the end. But I think we all know reviews are important. Get 5 stars. Don't get 1 stars. Respond to 1 stars. Try to resolve the problems. All right. This part right here is going, if you implement these things, I guarantee that you're going to increase reviews in your business. This doesn't matter if you're a 1-person show or you have 50, 500 team members. It's all about building the culture. And these are 5 strategies to incentivize your employees for more reviews. And this is real examples of what I did. I'm going to share the examples of what I did. So first, this one is not crazy, but pay per review. If you get a review, we'll give you $10 if your name's mentioned in a review. This gets them bought in and incentivized to get reviews on every single job. I would say, based off the poll, anyone that has over 50 reviews or has a team member, they're probably already doing this, and some sort of recognition for them on that. Now, the second thing to do, I would do these pro tip, combine them, is don't just do pay per review, but have a raffle reward for reviews. So each review you get with your name on it is entered into a monthly raffle for a paid day off. This is the problem that I had was we had residential guys and we had commercial guys, and the residential guys could do 2 to 3 jobs a day. The commercial guys were doing 2 to 3 jobs a week. And they would complain like, oh my gosh, well, I'm never going to hit my goal of getting this many reviews. And because the other things we're going to talk about, they saw these things happening and they're like, well, it's going to take me so long to get reviews. So what we did was we said, well, let's just do a monthly raffle as well, where you could win a big prize or, happy hour or something like that, or a gift card for you and your wife or something like that. So combine these two is really good. The third one is do a points-based review system. So this is what we had to do. We started with a pay-per-review model, but what ended up happening was we got so many reviews that we couldn't keep up with $10 because we were getting so many reviews every single day, probably like 30, 40 reviews. So to try to pay all these people out $10, it turned into a lot. So we turned it into a point-based review system where each review that you got with your name on it is 10 points. When you reach 100 points, then you get a $100 gift card. The reason that this was helpful was 2 things. Well, 3 really. First is that we didn't have to pay out all the time $10. Second, it created this scarcity, like urgency almost. The guys were actually out at my house cleaning about a year ago, and they said, hey, could you leave us a review? We only need 2 more to hit our 100 points, and then we get the $100 gift card that we would give out. But basically, it created the urgency to get more reviews because they had to reach a certain threshold in order to break through. The third thing was we had some guys, well, mostly actually our CSRs, they didn't necessarily care about money. Like they weren't motivated strictly by money. They were motivated by other things. So what we could do is say when you reach 100 points, you could either get a $100 gift card somewhere, or you could get a half day off, like leave Friday early or something like that. So it allows you to kind of gamify the review system and slow down the amount of payouts that you have to do to all these people, and also incentivize with other things. So this was a really good one that we implemented. All right. A similar thing here was team review goals. So you can have individual player goals, and then you could have a raffle at the end, and then you could put it on a points base. But the team review was one of the biggest things that really started building the culture. These next 2 are going to really build culture inside of your business. Once we got to 100 reviews, then we'll get happy hour after work. So what we did was once we get to a certain thing, we're going to go to the escape room, and we're going to have a lunch on the office. This gave us review goals. So that way on our whiteboard, when you clock in and clock out, right on the board, it would say, okay, our goal this month is to get this many reviews. So then everyone knew what we were working towards. And then if we hit this, then we get this. So hopefully you start to see you build some individual goals, then you do some monthly culture building, excitement things. Then you get so many reviews that you have to go to point based and then have some other incentives. And then you build out the team goals. Now this one right here, I guarantee if you do this part in your business, this 5th one, that it will explode the culture inside of your business, especially as you scale. And that is doing recognition and bonus incentives. This is literally the secret sauce to our culture. Once they reach 50 reviews, you get a plaque on the wall. So what we did was once you hit a certain amount of reviews, so 50 reviews, we would take a picture of you and then go to Canva and create a little graphic that had 5-star technician on it. We'd print the graphic out, put it in a little frame, and then right where they clock in and clock out, they had the thumbprints, clock in and clock out. We would have a wall and we put their picture on the wall. And I'll never forget it. I was there at 6:30 with the technicians. They were coming in, clocking out. And Joel one of our technicians, English wasn't his first language. He was on residential and commercial stuff. He came in, his plaque was on the wall. He took out his phone, took a picture, and then I was like, hey, Joel, what are you taking a picture for? He said, I'm sending it to my wife. She's going to be so happy and proud of me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this guy is doing such a great job at his work. I'm giving him recognition, and he's so excited to share this with his wife. That is the culture building. And then here's the secret part to that is that now when new guys start and they come in, they're clocking in and they see this whole wall of fame, basically, of all your great technicians and all the reviews. And every single time the guys ask, what is this? And how do I get up there? And there's another part to this that I'm going to share in a second, which gamifies this in a much better way. And it even solidifies this even more. But some of the other recognition and bonus incentives, for every 5 reviews you get a sticker on your truck. Imagine if you ever played football, you can get different stickers on your helmet for different things that you do. When you hit 100 reviews, you get a custom patch on your polo. When you hit 50 reviews, you get a different type of hat. Maybe instead of a blue hat, you get a green hat and you're a green hat technician. Any ways to make this recognition piece and bonus incentives so people can compete, it explodes reviews inside of your business for sure. All right. So how to create a reliable review system. And when I analyzed, like, how did we do this? These are the main things. Was one, what gets measured gets managed. This is obviously for reviews, but it's also a whole bunch of other things. So if you do not measure it, then you cannot manage it. And what I mean by measure it is like, if you are not having a tracker of some type of like goals or outcomes inside of your business so that everyone knows what's going on, then they're not going to know or care. If it doesn't matter to you, then it doesn't really matter to them. So what I would recommend is creating a scoreboard. And I'll show you the scoreboard that we created. But essentially what you could do is just get a whiteboard thing, stick it next where everyone clocks in and clocks out or gets their trucks or whatever. And then put on there, hey, this is where we're currently at and here's where we're going. You don't know if you're winning or losing if you don't even know the score. And this goes with all marketing stuff, but especially with reviews if you want to drive that home with your team. Now, some people say, oh, well, my technicians never come in. I never see my CSRs. I never do anything. So you want to create a group message and just every day update that. Another thing that we ran into was building trust with the numbers. So if they don't trust the numbers, if they don't trust that, like, hey, they would come like, hey, Phil, I got a review yesterday and it's not on here. Like, what's going on? And if they lose trust in the process, then the whole thing's going to fall apart and it just turns into like a flavor of the week type of thing. So you got to make sure that they trust the numbers and that you have a really good process for this. And then the last thing is really drive home that we are a 5-star company. You are a 5-star technician, and this is a part of our culture to deliver this 5-star experience. And that's what we're going to be talking about next is this 5-star experience. Before I get into that, these are the 3 things. Create a script and process for your text, which I'm going to walk through next. Do happy calls, which I'm going to walk through after that. And then align employee incentives with company goals. We just talked about this, but I can't say this enough. Whether it's with reviews, whether it's with upsells, whether it's with average ticket, whether it's with your booking rate, when you can align your employee incentives with your company goals, you can do whatever you want in your business and you can make sure that it happens. This just happens to be with reviews. All right. At this point, if you're like, okay, well, I'm just like one person and I don't have a whole team of people, but I want to get more reviews. This is the script that you should use, whether you have or whether you have 500 technicians. This is exactly what we did. And this is how we got growth. And I'm going to go through step by step. So the first thing is get your QR code for your text or for yourself. So if you go to your Google business profile, you can go to read reviews and then you can go right here to get more reviews. And it actually gives you a QR code now. So you don't have to create your own QR code. In the past, you used to have to click this review link and then go and turn it into a QR code and then create a graphic. Now you can literally just take this QR code right here. So get the QR code. And then what I would recommend is saving it as your background. So you could create a graphic and save it as your background, or add it to your camera roll on your technicians or for yourself, or create a card like something like this, where you have like a little card with a QR code. Then you just, pull this out. Hey, leave a review. Essentially, you want to arm your team or yourself with something to have the customer scan right at the point of sale. Because when the customer is the happiest is when you just finish the service, when they needed their gutters cleaned and you clean their gutters, when they need their house pressure washed and you pressure wash their house, whatever it is, immediately, that's when you need to get the immediate gratification. So have it ready to go. All right, these parts here are very important. So you're armed with your QR code to get reviews. This is the most important piece that I would tell our guys, and I would highly recommend, is that you need the customer to remember your name. So the technician tells the customer their name, and it's their goal to have the customer remember their name through the entire process. And I would even give you like a bonus step before this is have your technicians or yourself have just like a canned text that says, hey, my name is Phil. I have a daughter. She's 2.5 years old. My wife's a kindergarten teacher. I'm from this area. I went to high school over here. And my favorite football team is the Ravens. Then a picture of you and your family. Have this text go to your customer beforehand, whether it's a manual process or whatever, and drill home that your name is Phil and that you're coming out there to help this person. Then when you get there, shake their hand and say, my name is Phil, and I'm here to help with this entire process. Before I worked at the home service business, I actually worked at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I was a branch manager at one of the largest branches in the DC metro area. And it's a $38 billion family-owned business, still owned by a family. And this was their trick for great customer service, was remembering a customer's name is the hallmark of personalized customer service. You want them to remember your name at the kitchen table. This is what I told our guys. You want them to sit down at the kitchen table, go to their Thanksgiving dinner, and say, wow, I had such a great experience with this company, and Phil was the man. So your goal throughout this entire process is for the customer to remember your name. That's it. They don't need to know anything else aside from your name, and obviously have a good experience. So after the service, show the before and after pictures. So if you're not doing before and after pictures on the job, you should. This is what we implemented, was every guy has an iPad, take a before and after picture and pull them in during the process. Like, hey, Phil, I just wanted to show you this thing. Here's what I'm doing over here. Here's what I got over here. By the way, if you need anything throughout this whole process, just holler Phil and I'll be there and we could talk about it. They're drilling in the name thing again. And then after the service, show them before and after pictures, walk the customer through the work that you did. Hey, let me take you around your property and just show you the things that I did. So over here, you can see right here, I did this. Over here, I did this. Here's what it looked like before. Here's what it looked like after, blah, blah, blah. You're just building up the rapport. All right, this part's very important. This is the script for getting reviews. Thank you so much for allowing me to clean your gutters. How is everything with my customer service? Stop there. Anything I could do better for next time? Stop there. If they say yes, then you can say, well, I'm so sorry about that. What can I do to make it up to you? This is going to alleviate a lot of pressure on the CSRs of callbacks and this kind of stuff. And it's also going to give the onus on the technician to solve the problem. This is the script that we use at Enterprise. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this. How is everything with customer service? If they're like, oh no, you were great. Awesome. Well, my name's Phil. I'm so glad that thankful that you had me at your house. Do you have a second to leave me a quick review to let my boss know that I'm doing a great job? This is the exact thing that we said to them. Every single time they're going to say, of course. Like, you have this rapport built already. If they say anything I could do better for next time, if yes, what could I do to make it up to you? If they're like, yeah, I was really thinking that this stain thing would come out here. And unfortunately it didn't. Oh, well, let me take it again. Let me try this again. I think this is probably the last option for you. And let me just go at it. What we found is that even if you don't solve the problem, even if that stain doesn't come out, even if you can't do that, just actually asking the question and going the extra mile, they're still going to leave you a 5-star review, because they actually cared enough to try to solve my problem again. Even though they didn't solve it, they went the extra mile to do it. This is why this checklist is so important. Thank you for allowing me to serve you at your home. How is everything with my service? Anything I can do better for next time? Do you have a second to leave my review? All right. Now, we talked about getting reviews. Now, how do we actually turn that into sales? And that's going to be step 5 and step 6. Okay. So this part right here is the part that is going to get you the double your business thing. And this is the part that most people miss. They kind of get to this part and they're like, cool tech, cool. We're so happy. We got the review. Good job. Move on to the next thing. Don't stop there. Okay. These next couple of things are going to be the things that really move the ball forward for you. All right. You got to make sure that you do happy calls the next day. And it might sound like, oh man, that sounds like a lot of work, but I'm telling you, this is where the money's made. Okay. So the happy call the next day is, hey, Phil, this is Phil from your home service business. Wanted to give you a quick call to see how the gutter cleaning went when Phil was out there yesterday. That's the script. Okay. They're going to say, it was great. He actually went the extra mile. I left him a review, blah, 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 blah. Or it was good. He couldn't get this one thing out. I'm a little, frustrated about that. Again, this is that customer service culture inside of your business, because now your CSR is getting the call and they have a goal to get reviews. So maybe the person didn't leave a review yet, but it's like, cool, if it was so great, we do this recognition thing inside of the company. And I know that Phil would really appreciate if you left him a review. So if you have a sec, I can text you over the link or email it to you as well. But it would mean a lot to him, I'm sure. Catch all for reviews. But here's the tip. Opportunity to upsell things here and schedule the next preventative maintenance. I guarantee, guys, you got to do this, okay? So the first thing is, when you go on the job site, it's great customer service to have a checklist for your technicians. So the checklist would be like, hey, I'm here to clean your gutters, but let me just do a quick analysis of where you're at, like the sloping of your yard over here, the downspouts, this needs to be good, whatever that is, to have some type of a checklist. And this is where you can, one, upsell opportunities. So since they already know Phil and they like Phil and they left Phil a review, you can say, hey, homeowner, Phil actually made a note here that it looks like you have this issue. Do you want me to have him swing by next week and see if he can take care of that for you? Or do you want me to send out this person, they're going to be in your neighborhood next week, to do this estimate for you? Because now it's attaching the business with great service to the technician who gave them great service and they trust because they left him a review, who is already in their home, and the opportunity that Phil went the extra mile to analyze this and then make a note in the system to try to help this person solve their problem. All that is great service. It's also going to lead to more upsell opportunities and cross-sell opportunities. One pro tip on this, remember how I mentioned aligning employee incentives with outcomes of the goal of the business? You can tell Phil that if he gets a review, he gets $10. And if he gets a cross-sell or upsell or new estimate opportunity, he also gets $10. So now it's double the whammy, and he's creating opportunities and making more money, and it's aligning incentives. Now, let's say that you do gutter cleaning, you did all the stuff, and there's not really anything else to upsell. This is what happened with my company as well. It's like we just do duct cleaning. We're not going to be there for another 5 years. Maybe we do dryer vent cleaning every single year. So what we did was we said, well, if you liked working with Phil specifically, I can actually schedule him for your next cleaning. Usually he's in your area on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you should probably do this in March. So do you want me to just pick a date or time and have him be on your route since he already is familiar with your home and everything's good to go? Hopefully you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, this is what I need to do to create that revolving service opportunities. Specifically, we see this in those services like gutter cleaning, where it's not like demand driven, but you know that you need to get these people on the calendar every 6 months. This right here crushes. Let's say that it's your HVAC and you do fall and spring tune-ups. Same exact thing. Just schedule the fall or spring tune-up ahead of time and try to get that technician on there, because it builds the rapport instantly and the opportunities instantly. This crushes. All right. Now, up until this point, I haven't even told you about any tools or anything to get more reviews. And the crazy thing is that when I was at the home service business, we had 36 reviews and we had 2 automations set up. We had a text automation and an email automation set up. The problem is that we didn't have the culture inside of our business to get reviews. They were just using reviews as a catch-all. Hopefully we got some reviews without building the culture in their business. That's why I really try to focus on, like, you got to get the culture in place. So that way, whether it's the QR code or the automated text or an automated email or whatever, you have a culture that's going to get you reviews. So step 6 would be to automate a text or an email with your review link. Obviously, Jobber has automations. After an invoice is set up, invoice is complete, you can send out a text message. You can follow up with that person via text or email. There's a bunch of other tech out there to do this. The reason that I put this last is because it's more about building the culture than just a quick tech stack. Once we got rid of the text automations and we put the onus on the technicians and we gave them an incentive, the reviews instantly skyrocketed because we started to build this culture inside of our business. So highly recommend. This is good for a catch-all and you should have this, but don't just default to this. Build a culture inside of your business with the process that I mentioned before. All right. So building a review-driven culture. Put your scorecard where the techs clock in and clock out. So I mentioned this. The technicians clock in and clock out. So put your scoreboard up there so that way they can see it. Now, this is what we did. We had this tech, trucks, and thermometer. I'm going to show you this. I've never seen anyone do this before. I think that this was like something really cool and awesome that we built. When I tell people this, like, oh, this is so cool. I actually built this on Canva just to kind of show you what it looks like. We did this literally on a whiteboard. So let me pull this up. Okay, you can see this. So what we did was they went up to 100 reviews, 100 points. So each review counted for 10 points. So each technician had a truck like this, and then we put their names on it. So this would be like John and Dan and Stan. And what we did was, okay, John, you got 1 review. So now you have 10 points. John, you got 2 reviews, you got 20 points, and so on. Then when they hit 100, they went back to the starting point, but now we added a star. Like in school, you have a sticker chart or something like that. My daughter's potty training, and it's like she has a sticker chart for every time she goes to the potty. So what we did was we took these stickers and then we put them onto their thing. So we say, okay, you got a sticker. So now that means that you got at least 10 reviews. And then what we did with him was we moved him over here. And then when he got to 100, he moved back here and he got 2 stars. So now a new technician that's coming in sees this scoreboard and these trucks, and they see this guy's name with all these stars. And like, how do I get stars? And then they get 1 star, like, all right, cool. This is fun. Like, I'm it's attaching the outcome with the recognition that you want as a business, and it gives them a scoreboard that they can compete on. So every day, I mean, these guys were like super competitive, you know, soccer guys, like really into sports, and now they had something that they could compete on with their peers. Crushes. And then once they got to 50 reviews, then they had 5 stars. So what we did was we made that plaque, and then we put that on the wall, and then basically like their truck would just be loaded with stars. And we had guys that were getting hundreds of reviews. I mean, imagine you have 5,000 reviews, and we had about 28 technicians. So you're getting a ton of reviews. So that's really cool to put in your score in your office. Again, it takes a little bit more of a manual process to actually build this out, but it's about building the culture. The other thing we would do is recognize reviews daily. So we would print a couple reviews out and stick them on that board, like literally print them out and then just tape them on the whiteboard. And then we would circle the guy's name or put it on their truck, and then they could see the reviews and people would come in and read the reviews. It just created this atmosphere of review culture. Last thing, create that Canva graphic with their picture and print it out and frame it. Just as just like a simple picture frame. These are our 5-star technicians. Doesn't have to get too glamorous. It's just mostly the recognition piece. All right, so that is the review culture. I'm going to go into turning reviews into marketing and sales. And again, these are things that are out of the box thinking that I think that everyone should be doing. So turning reviews into marketing. Obviously, you want to take your reviews and share them on social media because that highlights the great service that you do. You're probably already doing this. And if you work with some automations, they even automate this thing where it's like you get a review and they put it on your social media. Cool. You should do that. Even if it's like making a nice little graphic that does this, that's nice too. But this is what we did. You can take it a big step forward. Okay. So take your long reviews and turn it into a professional case study. So I'm going to actually give you this in the chat. And we should have this afterwards, but basically I'm going to walk you through it and then I'll give you the prompt in the chat. So you want to take a review. So you want to go to your reviews and you want to select the ones that are going to be most relevant reviews. So when you go to your reviews here, go to read reviews, and then you go to newest, but don't do newest, do most relevant. Usually most relevant, they're going to actually like type things or upload pictures, or like it's going to be a really good, long, in-depth review. So you want to take that review, and then what you want to do is, I'm going to actually just try to put this in here now. Let's see, public session. Okay, I'll do this after the fact. But basically what you want to do is you want to take this, and you want to use this prompt. And again, I'll put the link over here to that prompt in a sec. Turn the following 5-star review into a residential style case study following this structure. Avoid mentioning the customer's name. Instead, refer to them by location or area. Header section, background, the challenge, the solution, the result, the key results that we did, call to action, and then a link to the review. So we took this prompt, plug it into ChatGPT. So we took the review here, blah, blah, blah. And then we said, turn the following 5-star review into this whole thing. And then it gave us these sections right here, right? And then what you want to do is you want to take this and turn it into a graphic. So something that looks like this. Oh, a little smaller. Case study, this fire department, we did this, this, and this. And then now we have this. And like, here's a picture. It doesn't necessarily have to be of their project. But now you have this nice PDF graphic from a review that you can use on all of your marketing collateral. So imagine you go out to you're going out to do an estimate at another home in the local area. And you say, hey, by the way, we actually did a home down the street from you. Here's the actual case study. I can send this to you. But here's a really, really important one. Obviously, if you go out and do big sales, you can use this in your sales process, which is cool. But your marketing team can also use this, and your CSRs can use this. So what I mean by that is, imagine you have a graphic like this, you post it to a blog on your website. Then when your CSRs are talking on the phone and people say, I'll give you a call back, or I got to talk to my spouse, or it's too expensive, or blah, blah, blah. They say, oh, well, by the way, we actually just put together this case study about a home that's similar to yours. I can email it or text it over to you. That way you can just review like the challenges they were facing, the solutions that we offered, the results, and then you send them this. Instead of just sending them a review link, you have a nice looking graphic like this. Okay, good. The link it looks like y'all have the link because these are all a bunch of anonymous people in here. So what you can do is go to file and then make a copy, and then you can have this prompt as well, which would be very helpful. All right, so that's from a marketing perspective to get some collateral in there, which would be really good. All right, now how do we turn reviews into sales? So we just talked about use the real case studies in your sales process. So when you go out to a customer's home, you pull up these case studies and you can share them. If you send them proposals, you share one of these case studies with it. It looks very professional and clean. You also should share these reviews in your customer journey. So when someone gets an estimate from you, share those case studies or reviews like, hey, go and read this stuff. So like, for example, what my company does, when someone books a meeting to work with us, we actually send them a text message. And then when they respond, we say, hey, check out some of our reviews and testimonials just to hear what people are saying about us. You can use that exact same framework because what happens is like, yeah, you want reviews to rank better and you want people to work with you, but you also don't want to let just them live on Google. You need to turn them into assets for your business and use them in your sales process, whether it's the lead nurture sequence or the estimate nurture sequence or both. We also share reviews in email newsletters about what you're cross-selling. This one is a game changer. So let's say like what we do, we have a content calendar every single month for clients. And then we have newsletters tied to those content calendars. So imagine like your HVAC right now, it's like you should have done your fall tune-up, but now you need to prepare your home for winter. So maybe you need a humidifier. Whatever that sounds like for your business, that's what a newsletter would go out. But then inside of the newsletter, we're going to cross-sell the humidifier. So we're going to say, hey, by the way, you need a humidifier in your home. Then we pick a review that's about a humidifier or something about winter, and we put it in the email newsletter. Because our framework is in the newsletter, we want to educate the customer. We want the call to action. We want to answer a frequently asked question. Then we want a real experience with our business from a review. And this is going to help people tie it all the way through that. Oh, they actually do this service and they have customers that are happy. Let me go and work with them. It's taking the reviews and turning them into sales for your business and not just letting them die over in reviews. All right. So we talked about how to set up culture in your business, the scripts that you should be using. We talked about how to turn them into reviews for marketing and into sales. We also have a promo going on right now. My company is doing a big giveaway. It's literally live right now for the next like week or two. So if you want to make 2026 your best year yet, I'm going to put this link in the chat here. But we are giving away our entire systems with a 6-month partnership. So literally like $30,000 value of a partnership with my company. And we want to work with someone that we're going to pick. So if you want a company that knows how to do all this stuff and is going to help you grow your business, I'll put the link in the chat and you can enter to win. I don't know if y'all could help me with that, but for some reason I can't put the link over here, but I will put the link in there in a second. I really would love to work with anyone that's on this call, because if y'all like jobber stuff, you probably are fun to work with. Yes. First thing is get that QR code. Second, build it into your process, whether that's you going out on a job or you have technicians. You need to get a culture built around this and a process. A lot of times, specifically if you're like out there just running jobs, you have blinders on and you're just getting the job done, moving on to the next thing. And then like, I should ask the person for a review. Let me text them. And then the opportunity's gone. So what we would do is like at the end of the service, before you give that invoice, you ask for a review. It's like almost like triggering your brain. Like before I get this invoice, ask for the review. And just like build it into your process. Like, hey, customer, I have 2 things for you. Could you leave me a review? Here's your invoice. So that would be the thing, like build it into your culture, get the asset so that way you can use it.